Welcome to the Wave Church podcast. We're excited today, especially because we have a guest who has become a great friend of mine, Virginia Beach City Council member Aaron Rouse. Quick bio. Aaron, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Aaron is a father, graduated from First Colonial High School, which for anybody that's watching outside of Hampton Roads, and Jared, you would attest to this, is it's kind of like the Ivy League school of Hampton Roads. Really hard to get into.
Yeah,
It's also-
absolutely.
Also the school that I went to. Played football at Virginia Tech, drafted by the Green Bay Packers in 2007. Aaron, I didn't know this. I was looking this up today.
Mm-hmm.
Your first two games in the NFL had interception. Your first game, interception in your second game,
Yes.
which I think is pretty awesome. Helped Green Bay win the 2007 NFC North Division Championship.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to talk about the game after that. After his NFL career, has been involved in politics, is now currently the city council member, newly engaged. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Appreciate
Come
that.
on.
Thank you.
And Aaron, we wanted to thank you for being here. I'm thankful for you for a number of reasons. One, I'm thankful that we've become, or at least I would consider, good friends over this last year.
Definitely.
And I have learned a lot from you and appreciated your insight and perspective on life. And specifically when it comes to politics, one of the things that I really admire about you, and I think I've told you this, is you don't just talk the talk, but you're in our community. And at least from what I can tell, you really care about Virginia Beach. You really care about our city and the people in it. And I just like you as a human being. I think you're
Thank you.
awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah, I actually went to the prestigious school of Bayside, Bayside High School.
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys are laughing. It's and we actually met right before you were running for city council, and there was I don't know what it's called, a young professionals event.
Yeah.
At Waterside,
Mm-hmm.
and I walked in extremely underdressed. I think I had a leather jacket on, and I'm like, what is this? I thought it was like this, young professionals thing, and the room was packed. And got to talk to Esmel, right? Who's
Esmel.
Esmel. My bad,
said it
Esmel.
right.
Shout out.
Yeah.
And he
Did you say S-Mel?
Esmel.
Esmel? Yeah.
Call him Easy.
Yeah.
And
that works.
and one of the cool things, I actually, right after we met, you spoke maybe for 5 or 10 minutes, and it was honestly one of the most genuine conversations I've ever heard anyone running for office. And you just told your story. It wasn't like, you weren't doing this. It was just completely normal.
Real.
It was real. And I texted our senior pastor, Steve, and Josh, and I said, hey, this guy, Aaron Rouse, is legit. And sure enough, you won. I'd like to say I'd have a little bit to do with that, just
Every vote
prophesying
counts.
of it. But it was really, really, really cool and refreshing. I guess I would leave with that. I left that meeting feeling like, man, this guy's awesome. And even to look forward to the future of Hampton Roads was really, really cool.
So before we get into this, we got some what we like to call get to know you questions.
Okay.
Just to even give our audience some more context to the amazing man that you are. And these are really deep, really theological questions. So I'm going to start with the first one. And this one's very meaningful to me. What is your favorite meal? Like if you could pick any meal from any restaurant, what would be your number one?
My favorite meal. First of all, let me say thank you guys for having me in such that warm introduction and welcoming. It's always been that way since the first day that we met. And I think the most beautiful thing about starting a friendship is that the learning goes both ways. So I've learned so much from you, Josh, as well. And I appreciate all of our friendships going forward. My favorite meal, I don't like to eat out a lot. But if you really want to know what my favorite meal is, it's just beans and sausage.
Really?
Beans and smoked sausage. Like I could eat that.
Wow.
Every single day.
What's your favorite meal?
Favorite meal?
Yeah.
Hands down, chicken Alfredo. I got low standards
yeah.
too. In high school, those lean cuisines?
Yeah.
I used to freeze after practice every day. I used to freeze 2 of those.
Oh,
or
my
no, not freeze. They were
Microwave?
frozen.
Microwave
Yeah,
'em?
microwave.
Yeah, I got what you mean. Yeah,
Oh,
linguine.
dude, those
Oh
things.
my goodness.
Woo.
Yeah, but you know, if you wanted to be 6'4", like 6'4", right? It's
It was
beans.
And
that's
not
what it was?
5'2"? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. You were eating
5'2"?
I'm saying if you wanted to be.
Is it too late? Can I have beans and sausage now?
Yeah, you better start.
Yeah, beans and smoked sausage. Man.
What's your favorite meal?
I'm a little bougie. I mean, I feel like have you ever heard of the restaurant The Little Inn in Washington?
I have not.
Google it later.
Hold on, where is it?
It's in Little Washington
Where-
in Virginia.
How
So
far
I
away
watched
from-
this show on Netflix called The Chef's Table,
Okay.
and I learned what a Michelin star restaurant is.
Okay.
So there's only like 53 Michelin star restaurants in the U.S.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm sure there's only 50. One of them is only 2.5 to 3 hours away. It is the greatest meal you ever have.
What is it?
It's like the 12-course meal. They I had a Caesar salad, and it was made of ice cream.
Oh, really?
It's that, like purees. It's that type of meal. And so
Thanks for
Google,
that story.
Google it now.
Thanks for that story, dude. So what's your favorite meal?
Whatever the Little Inn in Washington cooks.
outside of that, what is your favorite meal?
Tacos. Probably tacos or steak, smoked steak.
What were you eating the night that the Falcons
Oh my gosh.
gave up the 25-point lead?
So I'm a huge Falcons fan.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna sit this one out.
Tig was watching with us. I'm pretty sure I kicked everybody out in the fourth quarter.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
It was rough. I was eating my feelings mainly. So to the second question, would you rather the superpower of invisibility or flying?
Oh man, you know that's. I would say flying. I would say flying
Yeah.
because I can get to anywhere on the earth whenever I wanted to. I could commute. I could like work in China or something.
100%.
And-
Invisibility is kind of creepy. So
Well, you seen what was it Hollow Man or something that just came out, the Invisible Man? That-
Well, I'm a middle child, so I grew up invisible, so I definitely would pick flying.
that's a good point.
Favorite current hobby?
Favorite current hobby, besides reading, I've that's a favorite of mine. Always reading. Besides that, I'll say fishing.
Fishing?
Freshwater fishing. That is not.
And about that deep sea?
I'm not about getting out there in the ocean. Like we can get on your boat, but I have to be more than 10 feet away from the shore, right?
Dude,
Like,
respect. I love
yeah,
fishing.
So yeah, that'd be my favorite hobby right now.
Hot coffee or cold coffee?
Hot coffee always.
Never cold coffee.
Never cold coffee. It's coffee.
Yeah, me neither, dude.
It's coffee. You drinking cold coffee. It's like hot ice cream, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't want it.
I can do hot coffee I can do it any time, but if I do it for the most part, it's in the morning. But the other thing I do is I'll do hot and cold. So I'll do like a little coffee with this. So I'll do a little double. No
I'm
commentary?
going with the hot.
No,
coffee.
I don't care about coffee.
Do you like ice cream?
I do.
What's your favorite flavor?
Vanilla. Simple.
Really?
Basic. Yes.
Just straight up.
It's just straight up.
No
vanilla.
sprinkles.
I don't need all the fanfare.
What's the ice cream at that place?
Oh my God! Have
What's
you
it
had
called?
Gelati Celeste yet?
Gelati Celeste. No, I have not.
So this flavor,
It's on First Colonial Road,
yes,
next to the AWAB.
yes. I got filled with the Holy Spirit after I ate this flavor. It's called Just Ask.
Oh,
White
just
chocolate,
ask.
vanilla, Oreo cookies, and like
Peanut butter.
Yeah, but not just peanut butter, like layers of peanut butter.
It'll change your life.
Aaron, I'm telling you.
It will.
And it's like even the
It will.
texture of the ice cream.
Yeah, it's the
like
greatest ice cream I've ever had.
They figured it out.
I'm headed to take
Yeah.
my daughter there.
You need
when we leave.
Seriously,
it's legit. Vacation, beach or mountains?
Beach. My fiance and I, we just got back from the Grand Canyon, and I must say though, it was exquisite. I mean, overlooking the
Is it your
Grand
first time?
Canyon. It's my first time.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
And I should have visited more. When I played for the Cardinals, I should have taken the time, but busy working. And so seeing the Grand Canyon was amazing.
It's
You know,
unreal.
Yeah, it's a little dangerous though. you know,
Don't go too close to the
Yeah,
edge.
yeah, being dangerous.
So
So
you prefer the beach if you
I'll
could pick?
I'll take
Yeah,
the
me
beach.
too.
Yeah.
I love the beach.
All right, who? And we need an
This
honest.
might be the most serious question.
Yeah,
that
and we need
asked today.
we need an honest answer.
Okay. LeBron James.
Oh, that was my next question.
Over MJ?
Over MJ. Yes.
Wow.
Hey, there's a case.
This one's actually more important, and recently, even on SportsCenter, this has been a bigger debate. Who wins in a fight, Jared or me?
Going with you, Josh.
Oh, come on.
All
I mean,
day.
Bayside,
knows,
though.
dude.
Yeah,
Bayside.
I mean, you know, a man that can eat, you know, Alfredo is a man to be chicken Alfredo. Be
Nah, I
feared,
respect.
but-
It's fine. You're closer, but maybe one day we'll be closer. So I'll ask this one. If you could punch anyone in the face right now,
With no
who would it be?
repercussions.
I'm not a violent person, so yeah, that wouldn't fly with me
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll say the devil. We'll punch the devil in the face.
all day long, every day.
I got such a long list for that question. What's your favorite movie?
Oh my goodness! Now you're touching on something that's okay. So let's go. Heat, Glory, all of the Rambos. Die Hard 1 and 2. After that, it gets kind of off. Terminator 1 and 2.
Okay.
Commando. Yeah. I'm pretty much all the action movies in the 90s.
Gladiator.
80s, yeah.
Gladiator's one of my favorites.
And I like older movies too.
Really?
I know you didn't ask me my favorite, but since we're on the topic, I'm really a movie buff. All the older movies, because the writing was so great. Like the writing and the script.
It's actually a plot.
So great, right? Nowadays it's all green screen and big explosion, and the writing just has fell off. So
Totally agree.
I'm more of a Passion of the Christ guy. That and Expendables 3 really.
Right now, Frozen 1 and 2 are really up on my list right now with my daughter.
You know what I appreciate though is when you watch a kids movie and they throw in the adult humor.
Oh, man.
And I sit there, I'm like, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite kids movie though? Yeah.
Inside Out
Okay.
is up there.
I liked Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It
man.
Ralph. I was just about to say
But
that.
what about Wall-E though? Come on now, Wall-E.
Yeah, I like.
Wall-E.
Liv's not a huge fan, so we haven't watched it that many times.
Yeah. My daughter loves Up.
Oh, yeah, Up.
That's
Up.
emotional too, though, man.
Yeah.
Frozen 1 and 2 are good.
Moana's up there.
Yeah.
Go back to the classic though. You know, like the Jungle Book.
Jungle Book.
You know, Sword in the Stone.
We were just watching the old Snow White.
Oh,
me and
yeah?
my daughter last night. It was awesome.
Dude, there's some creepy scenes in the old.
Definitely,
There are
for
some
sure.
ABCs. There are.
Who's
And
next?
X-Men though. We getting off topic.
You like X-Men movies?
Well, I do. Although the last one with what's her name was supposed to go all superstorm and go crazy.
Guys?
What's her name? Jean Grey. The Phoenix. That was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible.
I didn't see that one.
It was terrible, but
I just thought of a movie and I forgot it. Anyway, have you ever seen The Warrior?
Like the old one?
The UFC one? The two
Oh,
brothers?
yeah, that's a good one.
Dude,
Yeah.
I've seen that movie so many times.
The Warriors is also a good one. Favorite sport other than football?
basketball. Had to be at soccer, baseball. I like sports in general. I think
watch them all?
I think I watch them. I don't say watch them all. I appreciate them all because I think like baseball and soccer, I think they're much funner playing it than actually just viewing it on TV. Even in basketball, I don't watch it till the playoffs. Like the NBA, I don't watch it till now, the playoffs.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, so
I mean, if you look at me and Josh, you obviously see, as athletic as you. I mean, I played at baseline football.
yeah, okay. What position did you play?
The
Backup
kicker.
kick. Try.
Why is he laughing?
Try backup kicker.
Kicker. Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
I played kicker versus
Yeah.
Percy Harvin.
Yeah, kicker.
Claim to fame.
You're one of those
and,
guys.
And we lost by 38 on homecoming. But
Did
Kicker.
you kick in that game?
I did kick in that game once. And so I got hit one time. I only played for 2 years. I got smacked one time, and I thought, you know what? This isn't for me.
You know why that probably happened though? Because you guys kickers don't take part in position drills. Learning how to.
That is
tackle.
true.
So,
That is true.
Yeah, you just eat sunflower seeds.
Yeah. Also, because you're a kicker.
And we would kick for 30 minutes and then get off the field.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Do you remember the hardest? I think this is a two-part question. Is do you remember the hardest hit you ever gave someone, and do you remember the hardest you ever got hit?
I've given out a lot of hard hits, and so there's quite a list of them. So where you want to go? High school? You want to go college for pros?
Do you remember?
Let's do high school.
So high school, I hit this kid so hard. I can't believe I'm sharing this story, but it was in the game. I hit the kid so hard that his mother the next week wanted to have me suspended because I hit him so hard.
That's when you know you're
yeah.
going to the pros. When a mother
Yeah.
emails the school for you to be
Did he know his mom did
suspended.
Yeah.
that? You got to quit football after that if your
Yeah.
mom.
Do you remember what team it was?
It was from Green Run.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Green Run Moms, man.
Yeah, and then in college, I broke a quarterback's jaw. I got flagged for that. They call it. I got in trouble for that hit, but
Did his mom get mad too?
I'm sure the whole school pretty much hated me that week. And then there were a lot of other players which are not out of the game. But to be clear, you can't play football like how I played it or how we played it in the early 2000s. The game is they made it much safer.
Totally changed.
Now the hardest hit I've been hit by was actually there's two I remember distinctively. It was a pulling guard from the Dallas Cowboys in New York. We were playing them. We won that game, and I was MVP of the game.
Let's go.
By the way, but pulling guard, and I just knew I had this hit coming up in the hole, and this guard came and just blindsided me.
You didn't see it coming.
I didn't see it coming, and he hit me pretty good. But that wasn't hard. The hardest compared to the hit I got from the Chicago Bears, where we were playing in Soldier Field, and I believe Charles Woodson had just got an interception, and so obviously now you have to switch, and so the big guys become tacklers, and so he's running up this. I think it was a tackle or something. I can't remember because I think I blinked out. Charles like, go. Block him. I'm looking at Charles like, man, this dude like 300 pounds. I'm not about to go hit this guy right here. So, but he's a teammate, and so you sacrifice and you sacrifice and you
remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I still feel it. Yeah, and you sacrifice. But that was the hardest hit.
But y'all beat the Cowboys that day?
Yeah,
Steve Tigner over here is a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, we beat the
Was
Cowboys.
that Romo?
Yeah, we beat. It was from.
Nice.
I got a sack in that game too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good.
Well,
There's a picture on the internet of that. Yeah. That's good.
No one sacked.
Do you
Romo.
prefer call or text?
Text. You know, if it wasn't for, I'm telling you, I'm not a big cell phone person at all. I won't even. I wish couldn't even carry a cell phone, you know. But obviously, you have family and everybody wants to contact you. Yeah, but so I'm a big text person, and it's more like people calls and they give me like, you know, my mom or somebody calls, long conversation. I'm just like, yes, mom, I love you too. Bye. And it's like you didn't say anything. I love you. Like what else?
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I feel like we're at a point where like a random phone call like isn't what it used to be. Like now you set up a call with a text first. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you got time for do you answer? I don't answer unknown phone calls.
No, absolutely not. Next question: Tupac or Biggie?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how serious these questions are.
Got serious. Wow. I'm gonna take the easy way out and go both.
Wow. Okay.
Smart man.
If you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive?
Yeah.
Now you're talking. Dead or alive? Nikola Tesla. I would want to talk to him. Tesla is. I mean, his work with electricity. Oh my God! It's like we still only scratching the surface of what the work he's put in.
You know what's funny is me and Josh have no idea who that is.
You know, you've heard of like the Tesla coils and the zzz.
Yeah.
That was Nikola Tesla. When you look at the power line, is the way we get electricity. All that was founded off of his work.
Wow,
really?
Yeah. So I would want to talk to him. He even had this idea back in the day that he could send electrical currents over. Sort of like what you could charge your phone. Basically, you could charge your phone from a distance, and he had this idea like you could send electric currents over long pathways away.
Wow, it's through the air.
Yeah, through the air. He was But him, I want to talk to Frederick Douglass. I think just his perspective coming from slavery, being an abolitionist, the movement he's made. Like, I want to speak with him.
Imagine that conversation.
Oh my God! Like, learned so much. Albert Einstein. I really want to talk to him as well. Who else would it be? I want to talk to Mike Tyson. I want to have a conversation with Mike Tyson. I think his.
What do you think about him fighting again?
I would love to see it. I'm scared for Roy Jones though, because I think he underestimates Mike.
I agree with that.
Mike tenacity is just insane.
He looks good.
Yeah, I
he
don't think
does
that
look
ever
good.
goes away. I don't think that instinct to
No.
uppercut ever goes away. So, and I have a long list of other people I can go off.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Did I ask that question or you?
I think I did. No, you did. PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox.
Respect.
Yeah, Xbox.
You know what I'm excited about is, are you a gamer?
I'm not a gamer anymore.
Neither am I.
Ask
Yeah,
me
me
prior to 2015.
Really?
Yeah.
But I do have favorite games though. That
What?
all the Call of Duties.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Never fails.
Yeah, never fails. And then have the game Ace Combat. Is I love flying games. Ace Combat has, and I'm a big I love military planes and jets. It's like to me it's like the best flying game you could get. It has
Really?
all the great jets.
I'm excited because the new Tiger Woods is coming out this year.
Oh,
And it's been how long? I'm looking at you guys like you would know. I think it's been over a decade. So
They're like, I know they do X-Men
I
game.
know. I was thinking,
whatever. Aaron, I'd love for you to share your story and just give us some perspective of just your life story, which I've heard and I think is amazing. Maybe start with what was it like growing up in the Rouse household?
wow. So originally I'm from Norfolk, Virginia, which we're currently at.
Respect.
I grew up maybe not even far, a couple miles away from here at Young's Park, in the St. Paul's quadrant. My mother raised 4 of us, so I have older twin sisters whose birthday is on Christmas Day, and then my birthday is 2 weeks later.
Really?
Yeah, man. And I'm a middle child. I have a baby brother. He's 3 years younger than I am, but I'm the middle child with older twin sisters. Like it was crazy.
No, I bet.
And so my mother was a single parent. She worked numerous jobs. I remember nights we would walk down the water side to the Dollar Tree because he used to have the dollar store side
Yeah, I
the water
remember.
side.
Yep.
Night. Remember that? She'd get all our toys, like, dollar toys. We think it was the world, getting out of the projects. And so my grandmother, it was the one who would help my mother out through birthdays and holidays and things like that. And ironically enough, which is life is so crazy, my grandmother used to work cleaning houses in Virginia Beach in the Allenton area, Shore Drive area. And when I think about going to school, it's like I went to school with the same kids who live in those neighborhoods where my grandmother used to work cleaning houses. And so I remember distinctively being a young kid and having to go to Virginia Beach. First of all, you think driving to the oceanfront was such a long way, right?
Different world.
Oh my God! And then you remember the tollway, the 25-cent tollway between it was like Independence Tollway. And so I remember my grandfather always used to let me toss the coin in there to go pick up my grandmother. And none of my sisters and brothers never used to like to take this drive. It's like, it's so long. But I used to enjoy it because it was a way for me to get outside of the project. So I got the chance to see, like, oh, this is Virginia Beach. These big, huge houses.
Right.
Houses like they're bigger than my whole like apartment, unit here. And so I got a glimpse of the other world. And so at the young age of 49, my grandmother, she died from breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
And then I was about 9 years old, 9.5 years old. When she died from breast cancer, my grandfather, he was an Army veteran. Now, he couldn't read, from North Carolina. He served in the Army, grew up on a farm, was a sharecropper. He was born in 1918.
Wow.
Wow.
He's passed away my junior year in college. But I remember him distinctively sitting me down. It was like, you're the man of the house, right? And from that point on, like, he put a lawnmower in my hand. And it's like, it's time to go to work. And so he put a lawnmower in my hand, taught me how to cut grass. And then he told me, you take this lawnmower from Norfolk, like from Young's Park, you take it over there to Ghent. Because Ghent is where they had the money at, right? It's like, you take it over there, you make money, you come back, you give it to your mom, and you put some up. And so I was like, okay. And this was when gas was like 99 cents,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so I would do that. And so right away, you know, he instilled that great work ethic in me. And he was like, you keep God first, and you work for everything that you want. And he told me, it's like, listen, like, your word is your bond. Like, whatever you do, all you have is your word. And it's like, okay, like, I'm like 9 years old, like, okay, granddad,
Right.
you know, I get it. And so my mother thought it was saw fit to move us from Young's Park to Virginia Beach into SeaTac community, into a place called Friendship Village. And for someone coming from Young's Park, I'm looking at the bricks behind you. Like, our apartments were made out of bricks. You know, the projects are made out of bricks. So it got really, really, really hot, like smoldering hot, in the summertime. And if you were one of the families who could not have, you know, in the window type of air conditioner unit, like, you were basically laying flat on the floor trying to be still, or you were outside the house. And so when we moved to Friendship Village, we had central air, like central AC. So I remember thinking, like, we done moved up in the world. You know? Like, we done got this step up in the world. We got central AC, you know, our windows slide vertically. Because one of the things in the projects was like, the windows all move up and down this way, and and kids always got their hands closed in the window. So I lost like plenty of like little fingernails playing the window. And so and we moved to Friendship. It was like, oh, the window slide this way. You got to worry about getting your hand closed in the window. We get to ride the school bus to school, you know. And it was a culture shock because I'd never seen so many white people in my life.
Wow.
You know, it was, you go from Young's Park, which is in the middle of the elementary school, Young Terrace. It's in the middle of the
It's right there,
community, right? Yeah. And so you just walk to school. You know, you walk to school. And so when I came to Virginia Beach and I attended Burton Elementary School, it was part year, 5th year at Burton. I was like, my God, like, I've never seen so many like white people. I've never seen so many different cultures and Asians, like all type of people. Like, you just never experienced that.
Wow.
And so immediately it was like, all right, you just learn, like, you're at this completely new, different world. And so go on from there. We go on from Young's Park to Lynn Haven Middle School. Again, by this time they had what they called a stop program, and got another job working. This is where if you're under the age of 15, you had to get a worker's permit.
Yeah, I got
worker's permit, and your mom had to sign it, and then you put it back in the program. It's like first come, first served basis. And if you were lucky to get in, then they were partnering you up with like a custodial staff or somewhere throughout the city, and that's how you were able to make money. And so my mother, I remember at the end every year, she used to end of the year she used to say, make sure you get your stop applications, get those in, get your stop application, because we were understood we had to work to buy our school clothes, buy our school supplies, and make sure we were getting ready to go back to school. And so
the minimum wage for someone, it was like $4.25 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. You know all about it.
It's pretty amazing perspective too, because how many middle schoolers in the same school wouldn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And it was really, and I always appreciated it because for those, and even now, as serving as a councilman, I always have great appreciation for the custodial staff and those who work, basically at the ground level, making sure the city and buildings are able to function and are clean and are safe. And even now, you think about how vital we're dealing with a pandemic.
How essential they are, yeah.
Exactly. And so I have such a profound appreciation for them. And so I got to 9th grade year, still working in the stop program.
Did you play football in middle school?
I did. So I played football in Haven Middle with Mr. Douglass and them, right? And Mr. Douglass was our football coach. They gave me number 99, bro. like 99. I'm like probably like 5'11". You give me 99. I'm like a toothpick. I'm skinny. Excuse me. I'm
5'11" in middle school?
Yeah, I was probably like 5'11".
I'm 29 years old and I still haven't reached 5'11". Was 6th grade the first? Is that when you first started playing football?
I started playing football back in Norfolk. I started playing for the Clovers, Major League Football. We had a guy named Joe. Used to always be like, try to go around and get kids to play football or play a sport to stay out of trouble. He was our community leader. And so I started playing football, and I started off at tight end. I was 8 years old. Started off at tight end. I couldn't really catch, to tell you the truth. Everyone thinks, that somehow, even athletes today, that somehow that you become this great player overnight. It's like this is years of experience of me like constantly getting better, working, right? Because I was garbage when I stepped on the field, right? And that's why I tell all the kids now, like when I coached at Virginia Beach Middle School, I was their football coach. I said, listen, don't worry about like where you are now. This is just the beginning. Like you're supposed to be. I've never seen like anyone walked in their first time, man, good at something. It's like if you are great, but there's work. You obviously have to put in the work to get better. And so that's why I started off. And so Mr. Douglass put me at DN with 99. And I'm like, man, I'm a receiver. Like put me at receiver. He's like,
I want number 7.
Yeah, I wanted a nice number. I didn't want 99.
No doubt.
But he put me there, and I distinctively remember, I was like acting. I was like, I want 99, right? So a buddy of mine, we were just being like just knuckleheads out there in the football field, not paying attention. And Mr. Douglass got upset one time, told me to go run, and I was like, I'm not running. Like I'm not doing it. And so I walked in the gym. Now here we have Mr. Lane, who was math teacher, 7th grade math teacher at the time. I walk in the gym, down on my football pants. He's like, what you doing in here? And I'm like, man, Mr. Douglass tripping. I ain't about to play no more football for him. He's like, what you mean? I was like, he told me to go run. He's like, why don't you run? And so he had this conversation with me.
Wow.
And he made me confront, like, no, you're better than this. You're wrong.
Wow.
What would your mother say? I was like, you're right. Like, he's like, go back out there and apologize. So I went back out there. And people don't understand how vital that moment is in my life.
Wow.
Because in that moment, if I walked off that field, I would never play football.
Wow.
Yeah, from that point on of me just being immature, being young, and not having guidance, someone there to guide me.
Shout out to Mr. Lane, man.
Yeah.
I met him at First Colonial, and was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like he was known as one of even the mentors in First Colonial High School.
Man, he kept it real. Like, I remember, because, for me, it was always hard. I never had a father figure. It was always hard for me trusting in a male to come in my household and is going to tell me what to do. It's like, you don't know what, I work. You know what I mean? Like, I buy my own clothes. So you can't tell me. You can't tell me what to do, But it was a sign of respect, It was that immaturity.
Wow.
And when Mr. Lane showed up at my house and friendship,
Really?
he came to my house and talked to my mom. I was like, he has talent. I want to work with him. I'm gonna make sure I keep him on the right track. And I was like, this dude really cares.
Wow.
And then I felt like you had someone looking on your shoulder, like I couldn't step out of line. And so I would, man, Mr. Lane will always be like in my heart for that. And so in 9th grade, got a job now working at the Virginia Beach Bus Garage. So I'm waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, riding a bike 2.5 miles to Virginia Beach Bus Garage on First Colonial. I'm like washing school buses, putting diesel in there, picking out gum from the seats. So now we get off about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I will ride from there, from one end of First Colonial, all the way to the other end and go to football practice. And so once I go to football practice for Coach Webster in Scarborough, Coach Webster in Scarborough taught me about commitment. That's where I learned commitment. No matter like if it was raining or something, like if you're committed, like you're gonna get through it.
Right.
And that's where I really understood the value of that. And then I don't want to say the rest is history because there's so many teachers and staff at First Colonial High School that made sure to help me be successful. Because my family, we didn't talk about college. It wasn't like my mom came and was like, "What's college you want to go?"
Right.
We couldn't afford it. It wasn't even our biggest thing, especially coming from African American household, especially coming from Youngs Park, was graduate from high school and make it to see 18 or 21. You know what I mean? Don't end up in jail where my father currently is. Right. Like break that cycle, break that chain. And so,
But that was kind of that's it.
That's it. That was it. If you got graduated from high school, it was like. And you're 18, and because you're African American with no male father, it was like you're successful.
Wow.
Now it's like, all right, find a good job and you're good. So for me, it was when I started playing football, the teachers, Andy Miller, Sam Scarborough, Jimbo Godfrey, Tucci. I mean, it's so many of them. You know,
Right.
Coach Butts, all these teachers, Don. I don't want to miss anyone out. Jatan Hines. You know, they all was like, we got to prepare you for the SATs. And I'm like, the SATs? Like, yeah, you have to take the SATs to get into college. I'm like, okay, like, great. So then they prepared me, helped me take the SATs. And the next thing you know, my junior year in high school, Frank Beamer and them is in First Colonial High. Like, and this is in 2001.
Wow.
They just came off the national championship run in
Yeah.
'99. And I remember looking at Virginia Tech like, dang, that's Michael Vick, number one. And then that's Frank Beamer and them. They on national championship playing against Florida State. And so I'm like, wow. And now he's in my school and he offered me a full scholarship my junior year. Like, I'm not even a senior yet. I ain't even started my, junior career yet, so to speak. And when he offered me that full ride, I was like, yeah, like, you don't leave that on the table.
Right.
Yeah, like
Wow.
I'm
in.
I'm going.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, man. And so that standpoint, taking that home to my mother it was like, it was a blessing because who would have ever thought, like who would have ever thought? And this is why I give so much praise to God because when I look at my pathway, we haven't even talked about college yet.
Right.
Even I look at my pathway, like he made a way,
Wow.
even when I didn't see it. Like I didn't know. He was there. He made that way. We talk about high school prom. Like I couldn't even afford prom at the time, but I found like $250. Like literally, it was rolled up so tight. I don't even know how like the fingers who have wrote it. It was like it was a blessing for me. Like I found this money and I was able to pay for my prom.
Wow.
You talk about the cleats and the basketball shoes, or even going to. I don't think I ever shared this story with you. Going to Nike football camp in Georgia. I got Nike was like, all right, we want you to come to camp. We're inviting all the top recruits. And I'm like, I don't know how in the world I'm going to get there, but I know I want to go, right? And so thank God for my Uncle Rufus. I got an uncle named Rufus. He's a great guy.
It's a good name.
Yeah,
Shout out to Uncle Rufus.
Shout out to Uncle Rufus. I was like, Uncle Rufus, I want to go to this camp. And so he got me a bus ticket to go to Georgia in Atlanta. And so my mom was like, I'm put you on this bus. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you better come back. You better. This is what you do that. And my brother was like, I want to go. And my brother, like I said, is 3 years younger than me.
Right.
And so for him as well, I'm the father figure for him. So I said, all right, come on, you're gonna go with me. So me and my brother, we get on this bus. We ride all the way to Atlanta. We had such a ball, but we were such kids because the money my Uncle Rufus gave us to feed ourselves,
Right.
I'm supposed to be responsible. We bought toys. I remember we bought toys with him. He was so upset. He was like, "What are you doing buying toys? You're supposed to buy food, because he had a hotel room for us and stuff. He's supposed to buy food." And we didn't have any food. It was like,
You got toys though.
right. And so we were.
toys were sweet.
So my God, it was so funny. But that was a long ride to Atlanta. But so we ended up got the full ride to Tech, and it was great because my freshman year, like I finished First Colonial being an All-State player, all tie order, first team. Was Defensive Player of the Year for the Beach. By the way, I lettered in basketball. I was good in basketball as well. By the way, when I took my full scholarship for football, all the basketball recruits stopped recruiting me. By the way,
Really?
yeah, and so
Was Coach Butts a basketball coach back then?
yes,
Yeah.
and Coach Butts was hugely instrumental as well. He would pick me up for basketball practice too, especially during the summertime. That's why I say, man, this community, Virginia Beach, is so many other people like that were so instrumental in who I am today. Like even when we get to our later discussion about policing, there was an officer named Tommy D. Martini, a resource officer at First Colonial High School, who like just changed my whole view and perspective on what it is to be policing here in our community. And we got a friendship that's to this day. Even his little son Carson, he's not so little so more. He's a great baseball player. But that friendship developed from him taking a step and just, hey, how you doing? What's going on with you? And I'm like, I'm like, who you talking to, man? Like, we don't talk to the police where I'm
Right.
from. Like, what do you mean what I'm doing, how I'm doing, And he generally just wanted to know who I was.
Wow.
And so throughout our interaction, we both taught each other, or we both saw our humanity. That he saw me as not just some black kid or just, getting in trouble. He's like, no, this kid has dreams and aspirations. I want to support him. And I saw him. I said, you're not just somebody who just wants to arrest me for being black. You know what I mean? Like, you're someone who has a family who wants to protect the community as well. And it's like, I see you. Like, I don't see I see you, the human, who you are. Thank you. And I can't even express the joy I have from our friendship.
So that even began to, because I love that story, man, how that even began to shift your perspective of viewing police in high school.
Yeah, most definitely, man, because you think about the community I come from, the only time we really saw police was they were arresting someone or someone had a complaint, and that was it, you know what I mean? And so that's the only interaction you have, so that's the only thought process you go through. It's like, oh, somebody must have done something wrong, And that's why when he first spoke to me, I was like, I know I ain't do nothing wrong. Like, why are you talking to me? But it was that brief, hello, how you doing introduction that says, I just want to know how you doing, man. And so for me, I was like, well, how are you doing? And it's he built up that friendship, and I thank God for it because we learned so much from each other. And so we're still friends to this day. He wanted me to play quarterback, though. I probably should have played quarterback. But anyways, so I'm all set. Go off to college. I'm thinking, like, this is it. Like, right? And then I found out I'm going to have a son. And I was never, like I said, I've never been on a plane. Here my freshman year in Virginia Tech. I'm 5 hours away from Hampton, Rouse, from Virginia Beach. Having a great time. I mean, we're traveling. We're going to these different cities and places. And then we ended up in California for the bowl game, playing against Air Force, which we won, by the way. And I get a phone call saying I was going to be a dad.
Wow.
And I'm just like...
Is this before that bowl game or after that bowl game?
This is during the week. So, for a bowl game, colleges teams fly out a week before.
Right.
And they do all
so this is leading into the game, you get that phone call?
Yes.
Wow.
I was a freshman this year, so I didn't get no PT. I redshirted my freshman year, I didn't get no PT. But you talk about, when the seriousness of it. For me, in that moment of the phone call, I was like, okay, like I hear it, like but I'm 3,000 miles away.
Right.
When I get home, we'll talk. And when I got home, it was like, oh, this is real.
Wow.
Like, this is serious. All right. And immediately, I'm like, I got to be a better father to my son than my dad ever was to our family.
Wow.
All right. And I remember being so scared. I was scared of my mom. I was like, I was so scared of my mom because I knew my mom was like, you're a first generation college student for a family. Like, dropping out of college is not an option, right? It's not an option. And I'm like, I'm having this thought process, like, you're right. I'm just thinking, okay, you're right. So I had to have this tough conversation with Frank Beamer, with Coach Beamer. And I'm like, and the coaching staff. So the bowl game was in January. Spring ball is about to come up, and then you have maybe 2 months off for summer. You got to report back in August for the fall. So I tell coach, I say, listen, I can't be here this spring. Like, I got to go home. I'm having a son. I got to support my family. But I'm going to give you my word, something my grandfather instilled in me. Your word is your bond. I'm going to come back in shape. I'm going to be that student, that athlete that you guys invested in. You won't be disappointed. He voiced his concerns, rightfully so. This young guy saying this is what he's going to do. Okay. And so I came home. I got a job working concrete. And, man, it was the most realization in the world that you will get, right? Because it's like it will make you appreciate the fact how important education and value is, because those men and women, they work hard in concrete field, right?
Oh, it's no joke.
Right. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I have the opportunity to where I know I don't like doing concrete.
No.
I want to do something else. Yeah. But you talk about the long summer days, busting malls, using malls to bust concrete.
Oh, I did it for 9 months. You know that Taco Bell at Town Center?
Yeah.
Yeah, I poured that slab.
Oh, yeah?
So.
All right. Okay. I appreciate
So
it.
it is. It's funny though. Every one of the old guys would come up to me, not knowing that I was, I think they knew that I was in school. And every single one of them was like, Josh, better finish school, dude. You don't want to do this for the rest of your...
Yep.
I'm like, oh, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. But
yeah,
because those guys did it their whole life.
Yep, you're exactly right.
And it is It's tough.
You're exact. It is tough. I was the youngest man on the concrete line, and they were like, "Who give me that maul over there? We'll barrel this over here. Pick this up over there." I think they were really trying to tell me, you
Right.
know, instilling me like, you don't want to do this for the rest of your life. And so when I got off work in the afternoon, I would go out to SeaTac Field, and then I would work on football drills. I would work on my footwork. I would run sprints. You know, I would work on catching the ball. You know, I would do everything like I could do myself with football. And so by the time when I had to report back that fall for football, that summer for football training, I was like in shape. Like coaches and them they could not believe it.
Really?
You know, Frank and them was like, I'm back, I'm on time, like I'm in shape. We had our conditioning test, which was 110-yard sprints, and you had to make 16 of those without missing one within 15 seconds for DBs, right? And so, like, I passed it with flying colors, not missing one. And even for our weightlifting coach, which is Coach Gentry, and I thank God for Coach Gentry, because I was 180 pounds soaking wet coming out of high school, and by end of my freshman year, I was 220 pounds.
Whew.
So, like, I was like,
Good Lord.
Oh my, like Coach Gentry is the man.
Wow.
But when I returned, they all were like,
Because they probably weren't even expecting you to come back.
They
A part of
weren't.
them.
They weren't, you know, and I think from then on out, they understood I was a man of my word, but also they treated me as, you know, as the leader. As a leader, it's like, you know, this is the leader of our team.
Oh,
right
yeah.
here. Like this is someone who's going to back up what he says. And so for me throughout college, you know, you have papers, getting ready for student work, getting ready for big time games. You know, we would play Saturday night, Thursday night football games, ranked number 3, 2 in the nation, right? Number 5 in the nation, number 1 defense. I got them ranked that because shout out to all my guys there.
Hey,
Ranked
no
number
doubt.
1 defense in the nation. And we're preparing all week. And so for me, I would make sure I try to get as much work as I can in earlier part of the week and study and perform. And then immediately after the game, after going out, balling out, right? Balling out 2 picks, you know, had about 10 tackles, you know, 5 tackles for loss type of game. Bruised bones, bruised muscles, had broken hand, shoulders. I would wait for like 2 hours after the game, and then I would travel home 5.5 hours back to Virginia Beach to see my son. And I would spend maybe like 13 hours. I would get home like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Look, quick nap. As soon as he wake up, I'm up, you know, playing with my son, seeing my family, trying to do a little bit of work. And then I would hop right back on the road that night and make it back to school by Monday morning before Monday morning meetings. And those times that I was late, like I had Wednesday mornings. Like Wednesday morning is the punishment for being late or missing a meeting.
Really?
Which means you got to run a mile or do stadium runs or push up. They call it we call it Air Force pushes or board pushes, where you take this 2x4 and you push it across the width of the football field 6 times on your like hands and knees, like you're pushing it like this. So
No thanks.
it got to a point where like I would fly through it like this, like, you know, all the guys who maybe missed class or they did some other thing, you know, got in trouble somewhere on Wednesday morning, they over here struggling. And I'm like finishing up like, y'all need to get it together. You know what I mean? Like, this is too easy. And so I would do that throughout my entire college career. Every other week I would drive home 5.5 hours from Tech. And so by the time my junior year came along, I was in a position to get drafted. And so I was like, all right, I can go pro now. You know, I'm ready to go pro. And my mother was like, you promised me before you go pro, you would get that degree. And I'm like, come on, Ma. You know, like,
Yeah, this is it.
right, this is what we've been working for, right? Like, we about to lead the hood. Like, we can do it, you know? And she was like, no, that degree is more important.
Wow.
Like, we've been struggling all our life. Like, you can get that degree first. You will need it. And I was like, all right. I committed to Coach Foster and Frank Beamer. I said, I'll stay my senior year.
Wow.
And around this time, if I left my junior year, I probably wouldn't have had a draft pick. But I decided to stay. By this time, I lost my grandfather. So my grandfather had passed. So I didn't have a great senior year in college and ended up going in the 3rd round. And that was my college life. And so get to pros, great. I mean, Green Bay was awesome. I thank Green Bay for drafting me, number 1. End up setting the Lambeau Field record there, which I'm proud of.
No
as
doubt.
well. And then you understand the NFL is it's a business. It's constantly churning. It doesn't slow or stop.
That's all it is.
For anyone, right? And that goes at all levels, even coaching, like at all levels. And the thing I learned from college, sports is about accountability. Like if you're out there on the football field, and if you mess up, like it's on you, right? It hurts the team, but it's on you, and you have to correct it. And so you have to have some form of humility, because if you're my teammate and you come to me and you say, Aaron, like you're supposed to have outside third, what are you doing inside? They just scored on us. I can't be like, man, what you talking about? I can't get upset with that, because we're a team. Like we understand we have to work together. It's about accountability. And then when you go watch film, it's like, see, look, that's you, right?
That's what I was gonna ask. It's not just during the game. There's accountability after
right,
the game.
after the game, and you have to solve it. You have to confront it. You have to be. You can't be so defensive that you can't take construction. You have to be able to work with everybody, and that was the beauty of playing on and to me for football. To me, I think football is the greatest team sport, because it only takes one person to get out of line for you to become a disadvantage, for you to lose. And so I ended up going from Green Bay to New York to Arizona. And I'm in Arizona having a great time. We finished playing the Texans. I'm driving up to, we're leaving after playing the Texans, and we're going to drive out the next day to play Tennessee, go to Tennessee and play Tennessee. And we get into a car accident. And so I'm asleep on the passenger side, and my teammate is driving, and it just so happens three cars ahead of us, tire blew out, which caused a chain reaction, and I just wake up like total chaos, like what's going on, and I snapped my neck on the roof, and that was it, right? In the NFL career. And by this time, I'm still like, I'm determined to get back, because I'm like the doctor said I'll make a full recovery, like I'll be fine. And the NFL was like, if you get hit the wrong way, you get paralyzed. And I'm like, that's a risk I can take. They're like, nah, that's it. And so, still determined, I'm 26 at the time. I'm like, no, like this is my life. Like that's what I want to do. Right. And so Marty Schottenheimer, legendary Marty Schottenheimer, Redskins coach, San Diego coach for a while. He's like, we're going to start a team here, UFL team here. And it's like, it'd be a great chance for you to get film to show you still play. I'm like, so you still can play. I'm like, great, like, let's do it. Go out there. We win a championship for him. I was championship MVP, 3 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown. Was it the Destroyers?
Yeah.
The Destroyers. Just straight balled out, right? And I'm thinking like this, like I know I'm going back now. Like, you see this body of work I just put in?
Right.
Like, this was like, NFL was like, nope, that's it. And so here's where this is my testimony now, right? Because I'm sitting at home, I'm in this big house, and I'm all alone, right? The phone's not ringing, the cars is outside, you have like TV this, you have all the little toys, and I'm all alone. Why am I feeling like this, right? Why? I mean, I have everything anyone could ask for, right? My family's straight, everybody's good. Why am I feeling like this? And next thing you know, something says, pick up the Bible.
Wow.
And I'm like, pick up the Bible, okay? And so I started reading from the New Testament, Matthew. And I started reading throughout the New Testament. And for the first time in my life, I started understanding the Bible.
Wow.
Like, I started understanding the stories. It wasn't just like
Yeah.
reading, like, okay, I started understanding. And through that understanding of the Bible, God showed me my whole entire life.
Wow.
Like, all the way back from Young's Park. And the fact that, you know what, when you had to get up and work and drive and ride your bike to First Colonial football practice, we had to push that lawnmower. Even when your dad's been in jail, those times when you walked off a field balling the game and you didn't have nobody like to really congratulate you and pat you on the back and say good game. All the times you was on the road from Virginia Tech through 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, like you just played, balled out a 3-4 hour college game. bruised and tired. Not once did you fall asleep. Not once did you drive off the side of the mountain. All the times you passed those exams, back to prom, the times that I saved your life in this car accident in Arizona, the fact that your mom is okay, I was there.
Wow.
I did that. And the thing about it, I'm kind of about to catch tears. I want to cry. But the thing about it is that I had gotten to a point where I felt like I did it all, right? It wasn't me. It was Christ. And that's where, even now, it's like the most important thing is not what you do for yourself, it's what you do for others. And reading the New Testament, God showed me that you want to be the greatest, you want to be somebody important,
Right.
you need to serve.
Wow.
You need to serve. Your calling is to come serve. So when I started looking at my community or where I grew up at, and I seen all the people that helped Aaron Rouse be who Aaron Rouse is today, I said, my God, like, I need to be able to serve my community. That's why when we get into all this political mess, I said, we're talking about human lives.
Yeah.
Let's not politicize that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what are we doing for people?
Yeah.
For people. And for me, man, that's how I live my life. That's how I'm able to sleep at night. That's my peace. Because now, like, when I lay down at night, like, I lay down in comfort because I'm laying down in His grace, His mercy. I could have been dead. I could be in jail. I could be anywhere else except for where I am right now. And I thank God for that, man. I thank God for that. And that's what I try to spread, even when I'm talking to, other athletes or even youth. I'm not one to like push my religion on people. I just have them take the chance to see where they are. Like, you're alive. What have you been through? Like, and not if you have to go through anything to justify where you are. It's the fact that you should examine yourself and see where you're going. And that's how I try to be. So.
You might be a preacher. I don't know if you know that yet, but it's pretty amazing, man. I've heard you share some of these things before, but I think that's one of the things that comes through is you're so genuine, and the humility of, even as you share your story, you love to give credit to all the people that helped you get to where you are, and then most of all, God. And it's kind of cool how even in your darkest moment kind of became your greatest moment of understanding who really God is for you. And so between then and then now, how did politics come into all this?
So politics came into all of it just by obviously opportunity, but it's like keeping that open mind frame, right? It's like letting God have His way. And so again, I'm sitting at home, and my godfather, James Church, is like, hey, we're going to Richmond. He's a car auto dealer. And this time it was lobby day in Richmond for car auto dealers throughout the state. And he's like, all right, come go with me, And I'm like, man, I don't want to go to Richmond. I don't want to be around these guys and men and women in suits and stuff. Like,
right.
I don't want to. I don't think that's fun. That doesn't sound like that doesn't sound like fun, And he's like, no, come on, go with me. It was like, I'm sure a lot of them will love to meet you. I mean, there's a lot of Packer players also. A lot of Virginia Tech alumni out there. Go. And so I said, okay, great, I'll go. Right. So hop in the car. We come to Richmond, and lo and behold, it seemed as though, and at this time in the General Assembly, it was about 2016, 2015. Everyone was either Virginia Tech Hokie or they're UVA, that other school, right? That other school. And so right away, and they were either like, "Hey, Aaron, wow, come in here, come in my office," or they was like, "Keep it moving, don't stop." It's like, no, they all were so welcoming, right? And the beauty of it was that sports allowed me to walk into any door, there was or there is in the General Assembly, and that goes for D's and R's.
Right.
I didn't care if you were a Democrat or Republican.
Right.
I wanted to know what you know. Just as they were excited to meet Aaron Rouse, the Virginia Tech player, or Green Bay Packer, I was excited to know, like, wow, like, you're an elected official. What do you do?
Yeah.
And so they would say, hey, come in here? Can you sign my football for me like this, right? And I said, sure. What do you do? He's like, well, I sit on this committee, and this is what we do. Or, this is what the board I sit on or appropriation committee. I said, all right, well, great. Like, and I would learn. And I just learned from every door that I walked into, to the point to where I kind of became like a normal up there. I didn't have any official title.
Right.
I didn't have any job. All I had was an open invitation. Hey, Aaron, like if you enjoyed it so much, next time you're up here, check me out. Hit me up, give me a call, or come back whenever. And so, for 3 years, I would travel back and forth from Virginia Beach to Richmond, and I would just learn from those men and women on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
On both sides of the aisle, exactly what it took to create bills and bring it to the floor, and the political realm, so to speak, to the point where I said, all right, I did my homework, I prepared 3 years, I studied, I know enough now, not everything, because you never can know everything,
right.
but I know enough now to where I can have an impact in my community. So I said, all right, I talked to some of my mentors. I said, I want to run for city council. And everyone was like, what? You want to run for local government? I was like, yeah. It was like, local government can be real messy. Like you should just come run for the state level, right? And I'm looking at them and I say, no. It's like, if I can't make an impact where I'm from, in my community, my hometown, then what good am I going to be up here?
I love
that. I don't no, it matters back home. It's like, okay, we're here to support you. Just let us know what you need. And so that's when I ran in 2018. And actually, I believe I was the only one to be endorsed by a Democrat governor and a former Republican governor.
Wow.
As well. And so for me, again, I don't see D's and R. I understand, obviously, the political realm, but I see people. And the most important thing that I've learned even then is that it was almost like, even back then, it was, civility. Your civility comes first. Like, we don't have to agree on everything, right?
Right.
But we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
I think that has been lost today because parties are so galvanized on who's in charge or who's right and who's wrong, and the team suffers. So I look at it from a athletic or football perspective.
Yeah.
When you have the offense and the defense constantly turn each other down in practice, and you get out there on the field and you can't win a game.
It's never gonna work.
And you're like, we suck. Well, why do you suck? Because you guys don't work together. You know what I mean? Like, you don't work together
100%.
to build. And that's what I kind of see, in America these days. Like, yeah, there are some really important issues that we have to resolve, and centered around morale and principle and values and ideals of what America stands for. But because we don't see eye to eye on how to get there, it doesn't mean we should tear each other down. Because at the beginning of the day, not the end of the day, we all are Americans. We're all on the same team, right? And in foreign affairs, from a foreign affairs perspective, if we don't solve our issues we have internally, a foreign adversary will. Trust and believe. And so, for me, that's how I approach it. I approach every matter is judged on its merit. I don't care who brings it forth. It's like, is this good for our city? Is it not?
That's one of the things I appreciate about you, and we've talked about this. Even in the context of racism, to where I just love that you want to know somebody, their story,
right?
And it's not just about, okay, you believe that, but I care enough. You care about people. I care enough about you to find out why you believe that and why you think that, and then you hear somebody's story, and suddenly you have this understanding of, oh, I understand why you think that way or believe that way. And I think that's one of the things that's been so lacking. We even talk about this in the church setting where, I talked about this recently, where there's been such a lack of kindness as we talk with people, and even challenged, the white community in our church to, before you scream and shout your opinion, make sure you're actually in the room.
All right.
I don't think anybody appreciates anybody that speaks to their situation. It's like, you haven't even shown that you care about me yet.
All right.
That's one of the things I really appreciate about you is you just care about people. Right. And before we shout and disagree, it's like, I want to understand.
Right.
I want to know who you are. And And even in the context of, these last 3 or 4 months for our nation, where racism has been highlighted again, it's something that has been around since the beginning of our nation and before. But I would love for us to talk about that today, because I've been able to listen. I think for me, one of the things the Holy Spirit's challenged me is just to listen and learn more than ever before. And I really pray that, and Jared and I have been talking about this as well, we pray that this isn't just another trend, and we pray that there really is a shift.
Yeah.
And I believe there is, even some of the conversations that are beginning to take place, and a willingness to listen and learn. But what is the last 3 or 4 months been like for you?
It's been from a personal level, outside of counsel, it's been extremely tough. It's been really tough. When you understand the history of our country, right? Particularly from the perspective of African Americans, which the country itself has not legitimized or validated. It's always a spin on it, some type of way, or you're angry, or somehow where you're talking about when it comes to systemic issues, they aren't valid, and it's like, I wouldn't just make this up,
Right.
No one's just making this up for attention. So personally, and it's been really hard to see, men and women who look like me, who look like my mom, my sisters, my daughter, my fiance, it's my brother, uncles. It's hard to see someone getting shot down, running away from the police, regardless of what they've done, because on the government side, like, we're a nation of laws, and everyone's supposed to have due process. And so then you see, obviously Mr. Floyd, someone get kneed and, standing a knee on his neck, or you see a teen leaving a party when, police come and they shoot him in the head, dead, or, or Sandra Bland or Eric Gardner. There's so many others that we have seen. And then for the country to say, well, they were breaking the law. And it's like, come on, man. It's like, that doesn't mean you take their life. Like, we're supposed to value life above everything else. And where is due process? Like, you can't preach the law on one end of it and not, not on the other end of it. And so for me, that's really hard, because it's like, well, what is the value? I know it was written in our Constitution that at one point in time, slaves were 3/5 of a human being, 3/5 of a man. So now it's like, okay, where's our value in that? Do you value me? Am I valuable to you? Because I value humanity. We value all humanity. So when people say Black Lives Matter, it's not political. That's those for people who are playing political games with human lives. Yeah. Like, we're talking about human lives. It's like for instance, when we place animals on the endangered species level, like the polar bear, right? Polar bear, because the polar ice caps are melting because of climate change. No one's gonna say, well, all animal lives matter, we shouldn't pay attention to polar bears. It's like, no, the polar bears are in danger because
100%.
Right. It's like, so, for African Americans, it's like, no, Black people are being killed unjustly. You know why it's unjustly? Regardless if they broke the law or not, they didn't have their due process. They stay in court. Why is that important? Because we're a nation of laws, right? Every man, regardless of what they are accused of doing, should have they say so in court. And that, to me, is the huge heart and disconnect, as well as when I'm serving in a position where I can have impact or more affect change, and I don't see necessarily a unanimous front to acknowledge what's going on in our community. Like, as the only African American male that's on council, I shouldn't be the only one, pointing out the obvious. Right. You know what I mean? And so for me, that's also disheartening, because I'm like, do you care about? This is not political. This is not politics. People. This is people. Yeah. You know what I mean? We say the same thing, when we look at, injustice in other countries around the world. We look at, dictator regimes and people, genocide. We say, like, that matters. So why if it matters across in a foreign land, why does it matter at home here? Especially for people who have fought beside you in all the wars since the beginning. go back to Crispus Attucks since the beginning. Why doesn't that matter? So that's why it's at a point where you're like, it's disheartening, but you know what I stand on? You know it. My faith. You know my faith, because Christ said, like, trust me, nobody has been through what I've been through.
Yeah.
Right? So in the day, I was like, Christ, you're right. The fight must go on.
Yeah.
Right? The hope and the inspiration for change goes on. And I'm energized. I'm fueled by him. I can tell you it's not disheartening to see what we go through every single day, because I experienced that.
Right.
I feel that. But I'm not giving up. And I think the more and more people we can pull together, the more we can be effective. And be effective means to change it. That's why I think, you're right. I believe the conscience, and I hope so, the conscience of America is shifting, because no longer can we just ignore it. We can't just say, well, that's not true. Because now we see it. Like, we have cameras. Like, all right, African Americans and minorities, been telling you this for years. Right? And you said, well, take it with a grain of salt.
Now you're seeing it with your own eyes.
Now you see it.
I love what Pastor Steve says. God is using the video cameras and cameras to show the world, to show people what's going on.
Yeah.
I love your story, and I'm just kind of quiet and sitting back and
you haven't
taking
said
it all in.
Yeah.
Because this is the first time I've heard your story, in this depth. Gosh, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I think the first thing that I really appreciate about your story is the fact that you're not self-made. I think one of the things, Young's it's called Young's Terrace. They thought changing the name. If we make it a garden, it'll be better, right?
Right, exactly.
They did the same thing with Calvert Square and Tidewater, gardens.
Tidewater Park.
Yep.
Right.
So Young's Park is a tough place. I live across the street from Young's Park, and actually HUD is now throwing money into it.
Yeah.
And I even Ben Carson had 3 neighborhoods to choose from in the country. Two of them are in Hampton Roads.
Yep.
That's a big deal. And so when we talk about the St. Paul's Quadrant, if people don't know, Young's Park's a tough place, and it's not an easy place to grow up in. And I think many, our city period is plagued with fatherless homes. And to know that there were guys in your life that took that place, even though I love the fact, whether it's coaches or teachers or pastors, taking that father of the fatherless role and be like, I see something in this kid, and taking the time to go to your house. That type of stuff is just super inspiring, and the things that I really believe that even our police officers are called to do is to take time to have relationships instead of only going to Young's Park to arrest somebody. Right. And I know that there are this is a there is one of the things that we're really fighting for is truth, and there are we've sat down with the police chief Boone and trying to work out what is okay. We want to see the police side of things. Right? We don't want our cop cars getting shot at when we park up at the McDonald's down the street. Right. And we also understand from the community side of every time they come in here, they're roughing us up. Right. So having, I think what I really believe God's using a lot of, unfortunately, these tragedies that should have never happened to sit people down and go, what is going on? Like, is this, I grew up at CRC, and obviously it's a predominantly black church, and my mother got remarried when I was 16 to, I always envisioned, I don't know if you ever envisioned who your new stepdad would be, but I always envisioned like a rich white guy that would save us from poverty, and it wasn't. It was a 6'5", 300-pound black ex-cop, and he was a huge part of me. I got jumped when I was in high school, had a .45 held to the back of my head. Oh, wow. And by 6 black guys. And if you go to Bayside, I was in a Bayside Arms neighborhood and it ended up getting jumped. And I remember him coming to pick me up and embracing me and going, son, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Where my mind could have gone to different places, and knowing that this man with black skin is embracing me, going, son, I know this was scary.
Yeah.
You got beat up,
Right.
and all, like, we're gonna do this together. And I think in our country, that's what we're forcing. It's forcing us to do. Is to actually sit down and go, like, how are you feeling about this?
Right.
You know, and I love the fact that you and Josh are talking, because even as a church, we're trying to navigate that. We've got black folk. I mean, we have 7 campuses that are extremely diverse. Like and we get hit from every side. It's like, why you guys said Black Lives Matter? Does that mean you're a socialist?
Right.
You didn't say all lives matter. Does that mean that you're from the KKK? It's like, whoa. When did we start using truths for political pawns? Like saying Black Lives Matter is a biblical truth. We're not connecting it to anything but the truth. And that's where we're trying to explain to people.
Well, and a part of me loves that it has ruffled some feathers, because even I posted Black Lives Matter. The Bible tells me so. Like I can't read my Bible and at this point in history, and I think that's the reminder too, where it's like it's Jesus is the reason why I have learned to love people, no matter who they are, where they come from, and I have. The closer that I get to Jesus, the more that my heart breaks for people, because I understand what he did for me and what he did for everybody else. And that's one of the things I appreciate about you, Aaron, is I've seen you sit down and talk with different people in different rooms. And that's where it doesn't matter who it is, there's that heart and care for people. And that's one of the reasons I believe you're called for such a time as this, because I've even watched you, in some of the playbacks of the city council meetings, and just what a bridge you are, and it's the call of God that is on your life. And I want to ask you this question again. You told me before, but one of the things that I've learned in this last season from my black friends, especially that are in leadership positions, is how they have led with such a grace and tact. Especially in this last 3 or 4 months, there's been such a sensitive time, and there's been so many ignorant comments, and even beyond ignorant comments, just racist comments and ignorance. Yet I watch so many of my black friends in leadership positions lead with such a grace and tact. And I've learned from that. I want to ask you that question, because I think it's an important one, is how have you, even in those moments, even in some of those city council member meetings, and not just there, everywhere, where, I watched Bishop Macbeth do it in a meeting where we sat down with the police and the leader of Black Lives Matter 757, and I watched Bishop Macbeth lead with such tact and grace, to where I don't know if I would be able to have that kind of grace and tact. How do you do that?
I think to me, I think it goes back to faith. It goes back to faith and understanding the Bible. I think, listen to you talk, even you go back to those particular moments in the Bible where God is, Jesus is about to be crucified, and he said, forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they do, right? And then you understand that, and then you also understand the fact or you look at the Bible and it teaches you that every man is right in their own eyes, right? So for that, I try to understand it's a teaching moment, right? And the Bible teaches me, be slow to anger. Don't be so quick to get upset with something, right? Try to understand the perspectives, and that's why even now when you talk about policing is such a hard job in America, in a free society, right? Because everybody thinks they have the freedom to do whatever they want to do, regardless of how it affects you. And they forget the fact that, we're called a union. There's something called the social contract, that we sacrifice some freedoms for the betterment of humanity of our country. And so even when we look at the system of policing in America, we understand that those men and women now who are on the line, they were nowhere near, and they weren't even alive or born or even thought of back when the origin of policing started, right?
The historical.
Right, the historical context. But there are human beings today that are being input in the system. So when you look at it from a holistic point of view, the system needs to change. There's too much that's placed on the shoulders of our law enforcement officers that needs to be solved by policy changes that starts at the top. Before an issue gets to our officers, that's so further downstream. It usually starts somewhere at the top, whether there's domestic issues, somebody lost their job, or there's not they haven't been able to support their family, or or just mental health, mental health issues. Well, how is a society dealing with that before it gets to our police officers? We ask them to do so much, right? And then get upset when humans react too, right? So for me, when I'm speaking to anyone, it's almost like, okay, your humanity comes first. You could be the president of the United States, right? And I will still show you the same respect because you're a human being. You could be the janitor who sweeps up. I will still show you the same respect because you're a human being. Because I never forget that even now, when I'm black and you're white, those are human structures we placed on each other. Those are human structures placed on our society, right? Because we all are humans.
Right.
But why is it that in our society or the structure of our humanity, we treat people differently? That's a human structure. That's a human flaw. So if you understand that, then you can understand when someone says something racist, yeah, it hurts. You could be upset. You can even get disheartened. But then you need to take the high road. You need to what is it that makes someone that ignorant?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where is it? What is it? Can I teach you? Even maybe I need to teach you about yourself or reveal about yourself that will show you that, hey, the way you're acting or the way you're speaking, that ain't it.
And I'm just a big right now. Social media is outlandish.
Oh man.
I think I'm trying to not read the comment section of anything because people with two friends say the worst things. And but I'm a
I just have
go for it.
I don't want to cut you off, but after you speak, I have a thought about that too.
Yeah. So it's usually the loudest voices are from the cheapest seats.
Yeah.
And we are a big proponent of, if you care that much, have a conversation. Sit down face to face, like we're doing right now, and have a conversation instead of going on Facebook or whatever and just saying things that you don't even mean.
Right.
And where all you're doing is trying to proving a point. And the only thing you're doing is Googling articles to prove your point. It's just sit down and have a conversation. You realize the hostility actually goes down.
You're exactly right.
And you start to understand someone else's point of view, and we're able to
But you hit
move
the nail
forward.
on the head. It's human interaction. For good as technology has been to us, and for as easy it has made things, there's also a responsibility for us to keep our human interaction at the forefront of communication, because it's so easy to text something and have it be misunderstood, or and it's so easy to get on any social media and blurt out blah 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 because you feel like I'm away from it. I don't have to. There's no consequence. I don't have to see
There's no
person,
consequences.
But when I can look in your eye and then know that, say those things and see how that affects you, then you'll see what's in someone's heart, right? The Bible teaches that what comes out of man's mouth comes out of his heart, right?
Very good.
And so for that's the important part that we have to get back to. Ain't nothing in the Bible about whatever comes on social media you'll be able to tell about the person, right? Not that I've saw.
I mean, this is what Jesus did, though, right? I mean, he sat at the table, especially with the people that all the religious leaders thought that he shouldn't be sitting with.
Exactly.
And he sat with them, and there was no proving a point. There was no, Jesus was kind. I think, especially in the church, sometimes we've forgotten, the Bible says kindness leads people to repentance.
Yeah.
Not proving your point
Yeah.
on Instagram, not this, that, and the other. And that's it. Do we really care for people? We'll sit down.
Right.
And not just that, we'll begin to learn how to do life together and learn from each other. And again, even what you spoke to earlier, I think you see, and I speak to you, one of the things I appreciate is you see value in people,
Most
no
definitely.
matter who they are.
Most definitely. We cannot throw away anybody. We need to be more of a country who redeems people, so to speak, who gives people an opportunity to have a life. And those people who made mistakes early in their life, I just don't believe in throwing away people. I believe in building people up, because even when we read the Bible and we look at Paul, Saul, like he crucified, like he crucified what Jews or Christians, right? And now all of a sudden,
he killed Christians,
right? And now all of a sudden, like, look who he is. So what if, like, I just don't, my faith.
And we would have canceled him before he even got to that point.
100%.
Right. It would have been canceled.
Yeah.
Like, what is, like, come on, man. Like, no one is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
No
we,
one is
we
perfect.
forget what he really did for us. And that's everybody. Because like you said, then nobody can be thrown away.
Right.
Well, one of the things we wanted this podcast to be was a space to be real and even wrong.
Yeah.
Like have the ability. There's not a lot of places you can be wrong anymore.
Yeah.
And still kind of move forward in the conversation.
It's interesting you say that, because one of the things Aaron and I talked about last time we got up was, I think one of the benefits of even our relationship is, because we have a love and respect for each other, and like anybody, there's going to be things we disagree on. I'm sure there will be, yet we're still going to be friends.
Right.
We're still going to learn. We're still going to understand. We're
Right.
still going to respect each other, because that's, I think, something that's missing too, is just showing the world of,
Yeah.
hey, you know what, we disagree on that, but we still love each other. We're still friends, and I've taken the time to understand why you think the way you do. I do, and
Well, what I wanted to ask was, you're a part of a predominantly white city council who just hired their first in history black city manager, right?
Yep.
Which is a big deal for
It
Virginia
is.
Beach.
It is. It's huge.
How do you feel like the city? And I don't want to get you in trouble, so we can edit it out or rephrase the question. Do you think the city is moving forward or taking strides towards making Hampton Roads more awesome, even in the race conversation?
Well, first, I think hiring, the new city manager, I think it's awesome that we hired him, and he just so happens to be black. I like to think we hired the best person for the job.
Yep.
100%.
I think Virginia Beach is in a place where we're trying to figure out who we want to be, who we are, and where we want to go.
Yeah.
Virginia Beach still fairly is a young city, since it's a corporation. I think 1927, I think it was. Maybe mistaken on that, but I think there's still this mindset that somehow we are a county.
Yeah.
We are a city. We are the largest populated, city within Virginia, but we have a diverse community, which means I think is incredibly valuable to have an agriculture part of our city in the southern part. That does so much for our city, and then we have also, the oceanfront, the tourism part, and then we have a town center, right?
Right.
I'm glad you put that in quotation.
Yeah. So
Downtown Virginia Beach.
So we have a diverse city.
It's
but
getting there. Yeah.
We're I think now we're figuring out how do we work it together. How do we really build Virginia Beach that's an all-encompassing community going forward? Because the past is not an answer. That's
Well, it brings me up to another question, which is something in the water, which when we found out, which if you don't know and you're listening, it's a massive music festival that
You need
kicked
to know
off
what it is.
last year, and the second part was going to be this year. We were really stoked about it.
Yeah, I
as a
was
church, we were stoked about it as staff. I mean, me and Josh we love Pharrell. We were pumped that he was a part of it. I'm sure there were many opinions surrounding this massive event at the oceanfront.
Well, I'll say it for you. Aaron probably was the only one that was really for it when it came to our local government, and we can edit that out if we need to. But
and we were invited to the pop-up church event this year, but obviously COVID changed the plans. Tell us a little bit about Something in the Water. I feel like every great city has a dope music festival.
Yeah.
Atlanta, Dallas. I was supposed to go to South by Southwest.
Yeah.
And Austin.
Yeah.
Like
That's a huge
there's amazing ones, and we're like, Virginia Beach needs one.
we need
100%.
one.
And-
Yeah, we definitely need one.
And bringing all of these artists
Yeah.
and these people down to the oceanfront is dope. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, from the very onset, I think Virginia Beach is really, really very lucky to have Pharrell Williams this be his
100%.
hometown.
Yes.
Like this
Yeah.
does not happen without his creative genius, his philanthropy. Like it just doesn't
amazing.
happen, right?
Mm.
From the buy-in part, listen, I deal in hope. I don't deal in fear. I deal in
love
hope.
it.
I understand the history of Virginia Beach and associated with College Beach Weekend and
Yep,
the
yeah.
apprehensions, right? But I step out on faith.
Yeah.
Like I lead by faith, and so for me, going around building up that support from people who have seen, the darker times of Virginia Beach when associated with College Beach Weekend, I said that's not a valid excuse not to progress, not to move forward. I hear your concerns, I take your concerns seriously, but this is what we're going to do about it, right?
Yeah.
We're going to make sure we don't make those same mistakes, but I need your help.
Yeah.
I need your support because this is our community. This festival wasn't about any one big major star coming into Virginia Beach. This festival was about us.
Yes.
How are we so special?
Yes.
There's something in the water that we can continuously put out such great, people that come from here, from all walks of life, that start here in Virginia Beach. And so it was really hard. Like it was hard because fear is so powerful. This fear of someone's going to take something I have, or it's going to tear down my community, or something's going to be violent, or it's not. That is such a powerful tool. That's why you see those people who try to utilize fear to maintain a position of power. But hope is stronger. Love is stronger. And we know that through our faith. And so when going throughout this community, and even standing in front of at the convention center, many only councilmen there, standing in front of the convention center with over 800 some people, taking all of these tough questions, I could not have done that without the staff there and people also that say, hey, it may be a few of us, but tomorrow's will be many of us, right? Like it's going to be a lot more is to come. And so for me, I always look at the upside of things, right? I understand the risk and that associated with doing things. And there was a lot of political risk because, I guarantee you if something went wrong that first year, it would have been like, see, Councilman Rouse did this. This is
Well, I love
told
that.
you.
Well, I love that you are
This is all his
saying
fault.
change your perspective. This is a celebration of
It
our
is.
city,
Yeah.
not a party where people are just going to show up and
Right.
act crazy.
And you
Yeah,
helped
I love that.
you helped our city see that. So thank you for helping pioneer that, make that happen. I'd love to ask you, Aaron, what do you see? I got two questions. One is, what do you see the future of Virginia Beach? What do you see in our city? I love Hampton Roads.
Yeah.
We feel called here. I know you do. It's one of the things I love about your heart for our city. What do you see the future of Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach?
I think it's bright. I think the future of Virginia Beach is as bright as we want it to be. Once we decide we have to work together, right? Or once we get rid of the plague of all the old type of thinking of that has stagnated our process, right? Oh, this isn't going to work. This, like, once we get rid of that and we be bold, innovative, and we approach the future knowing we have the capacity and the potential to be whatever we want to be, the future is bright. Like, no one else has the capacity like Virginia Beach has, right? The potential Virginia Beach has, and the potential for Virginia Beach to be the leader, not just in the region of 757 or Hampton Roads, whatever you're comfortable with calling us, right?
The greater Tidewater
Right?
area.
But we could really be the entrance to Virginia when you look at it for our state. No longer can Northern Virginia, which go Northern Virginia, but Northern Virginia doesn't have to be the bright spot of our state. Virginia Beach is the gateway.
No doubt.
We're the gateway, and so man, I get excited, but I also understand it's a lot of work to be done, and it even starts with our entire community, even from those baby boomers, seniors who may feel like, the young millennials are taking over. We're not taking over. We can't do this without you because you all have that wisdom.
Right.
You have the wisdom. We just have the youthfulness and the energy to get that done. But we need to be guided so we don't make the same mistakes.
Very good.
So,
I love it. I couldn't agree more. Last question I have, Aaron, is I'd love for you to maybe share if there's anybody that watches this podcast that maybe a young person, young girl or guy that identifies and relates with your story, and maybe they're in a place where they feel discouraged and maybe they're unsure if there's a way forward for them, what would you say to that young person?
I would say to any young person that's speaking, or any person that's listening, I should say, and any young person that's listening, is believe in Christ. Like, your faith is so serious. All you need is a side of a mustard seed, right? That's what the Bible teaches us. Like, that's all you really need. You take that and you place it within your heart, right? And then you believe in yourself, right? Because Jesus comes first, God comes first. But believe in yourself that no matter what you want to be, no matter what you want to accomplish, no matter what you want to do in your profession, or no matter where you want to go in life, believe in that. Using that faith the size of a mustard seed in your heart, using that to propel yourself through your adversity, right? And once you do that, you will evolve to be a better person, right? And you will even see the person that you evolve to be is the person you were all along. You just have to believe in yourself. But it starts with believing in Christ. So
I love it. It's a great answer.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So, well, Aaron, thank you again for being here. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for being my friend. I really love you, man, and I appreciate you. And I think it's no accident God has brought us together. I think it's no accident God has placed you in Virginia Beach for such a time as this. And you give me hope for the future of our city and for our nation.
Thank you.
You really do. So, you want to pray, Jared?
Yeah, we'd love to pray for you. Is that
Sure,
cool?
please.
Come on,
Thank
let's
you.
pray. Well, Father, we thank you for all that you are and all that you've called us to be, and thank you so much for Aaron being here and being open and honest. And I pray for him, God. Who in the world would want to be a politician today? But he's stepped up to the plate to be an amazing leader, and we pray for him, God. Wrap him up in your divine protection. Keep him safe. Help him to stay focused on helping people. God, let him never be ruled by politics, but ruled by your principles. Father, be with him. We love you. We praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you, guys. I love
No
you
worries.
both, man. Thanks for having me here. This has been amazing. And I love being here because I feel like you allowed me to vent.
No doubt.
Thank you.